All right, so today we're doing a deep dive, and it's kind of like your shortcut, right? Get straight to the core of the knowledge, and this time, it's all about day trading. We've got this awesome transcript from a trader who's been in the game for like 17 years.
17 years, yeah. Not just some fly-by-night, flash-in-the-pan kind of trader. This guy's got a YouTube channel going. He's developing a full-blown education program. He's the real deal. Wants to make sure people understand this is serious business.
And that's what we're really digging into today, right? What are the real lessons, the nitty-gritty of what it takes to succeed in day trading, especially, focusing on learning from your slip-ups, having that self-discipline, and, the psychology of it all. That's huge. So where do we even start with this guy?
Well, he comes out swinging right off the bat, addressing that whole myth of overnight success, the get-rich-quick idea that floats around.
Yeah, like it's just easy money.
Right, and he uses this really clever analogy. He compares day trading to learning golf. You can go out there and swing at a few balls, maybe even hit a decent shot, but to truly master the game, especially when you don't have a coach right there with you every step of the way, that takes time. It takes experience. It's not something you just pick up overnight.
And it's like you can't ignore those ads, man. They're everywhere, especially after the pandemic hit. All those free workshops, the Lambos, the Rolexes.
Dubai, don't forget Dubai.
Oh, yeah, Dubai. It's like a whole aesthetic. But well, is it real?
Yeah, it makes you wonder. And he even talked about that, how he wishes there was more, upfront honesty about what things really cost after those free offers.
Transparency, for sure. Like if you're giving away so much for free, where's the catch? What's the business model?
Right, exactly. Something to think about, for sure.
So, okay, he tackles this overnight success myth. What else? What about that advice everyone seems to give about joining trading communities, those Telegram groups, WhatsApp, all that for signals?
Yeah, the follow the herd strategy.
Right. What does he have to say about that?
He's got a pretty balanced take, I'd say. He acknowledges that, yeah, okay, beginners might pick up a few things, learn from each other's mistakes, but to really level up, he says you need someone who's been there, done that, someone who not only knows their stuff, but can actually teach it well.
So it's not just about being in a community, it's about having a leader, a mentor, someone who can guide you, right?
Absolutely. And he makes a point about the kind of platforms and gurus out there. He even talks about this Facebook group run by people who honestly don't seem to have any real trading experience. And they're pushing this platform that needs a subscription, claiming an endorsement from, get this, a retired Premier League footballer.
Wait, a footballer? How does that even connect?
Right. And his point is, why would a footballer suddenly be an expert on day trading? It just doesn't add up. He even jokes maybe a poker player would make more sense, given the whole probability thing.
Still doesn't make them a good teacher, though, right?
Exactly. It's about looking for actual relevant experience, a track record in trading, not just success in some other field.
So it's not just about who you learn from, but what you learn, right?
Absolutely. And one thing he really emphasizes is looking beyond the hype, like traders boasting about big dollar amounts without any context.
Yeah, like I made $10,000 today. Okay, but from what starting point?
Exactly. He prefers talking in percentages or points, like a 200-point move on the Dow Jones, which basically means the difference between where you bought and where you sold.
So it's a way to measure success that's relevant for everyone, regardless how much money you have to trade with, right?
Right. It's about the proportion, not just the absolute numbers. And he makes this point that those flashy dollar figures, that's what fuels this whole get-rich-quick fantasy.
Okay, so we've busted the myth of easy money. We've talked about finding good mentors, and we're looking at profits in the right way. But is there a secret formula, some golden technique everyone's searching for?
He's pretty clear about that. There's no holy grail in day trading, no one secret strategy. Instead, he talks about the importance of mindset, understanding trading psychology managing your emotions and biases, and having a good grasp on probability. That allows you to make neutral trading decisions, not driven by fear or greed.
So it's almost like it's more about the internal game than any specific external strategy.
Exactly. He criticizes this idea that you can just, subscribe to success. He compares it to Tiger Woods in golf. You don't just pay money and suddenly become a master. It takes years of dedication, hard work, practice.
Okay, that makes sense. So no shortcuts. What about copy trading? Following those signals everyone talks about.
He has some strong reservations about that, too. He points out, even if you're copying someone else, you still have to execute the trades. You still need to understand what you're doing. And if things go wrong, you're the one holding the bag.
Right, it's still your responsibility.
And he brings up the whole accountability issue, who's making sure those signals are actually good? And what's to stop someone from, manipulating things to make it look like they're always winning?
Yeah, like using multiple accounts and only showing the good trades. Sneaky.
He makes this really interesting point. He says, if someone really had a consistently winning strategy, why would they sell it cheap? He even says you might as well just use a trading bot.
So his real emphasis is on learning how to read the market yourself.
Yeah, self-sufficiency, understanding price action, all that.
Okay, so we've talked about learning, but what about mentors? You mentioned him having one. What does he have to say about finding the right guidance?
He's pretty blunt about the whole 22-year-old Dubai millionaire image, the whole I got rich quick, you can too thing. He calls it out as unrealistic. He contrasts that with his own journey, which involved what he called idiot years, those initial years of learning through mistakes.
Everyone has those, right?
He says his own mentor spent like 7 years in that phase, which emphasizes the difference between knowing about trading and actually having real lived experience.
And he ties it back to golf, right? Like knowing which club to use versus actually being out on the course, dealing with the wind, the terrain, all that.
Exactly. And in trading, it's not just about the market, it's about how you react to the pressure. He warns against mentors who promise quick and easy success. He says real success is about hard work, focus, learning to analyze things yourself, and managing your own psychology.
It all comes back to that, doesn't it? The psychology. So what does he say makes a good mentor then?
He emphasizes two main things. First, look for someone who trades live with real money, not just demos or hypotheticals.
So they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Right. And secondly, and maybe even more importantly, he says, find someone who focuses on trading psychology, mindset, because that's what separates the winners from everyone else.
And it can't just be like an add-on, right? It has to be integrated into the whole learning process.
Absolutely. He compares it to professional athletes, how they have coaches for everything, including the mental game. And he talks about the importance of a personalized action plan, something that takes into account your specific situation, your time, your resources, all that.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about what a mentor should do. But what about the trader themselves? What is he saying you need to bring to the table?
He shifts the focus onto personal responsibility. He says your goal should be to become a better trader. Money, profit, that's a byproduct. If you focus only on the money, that's when you make emotional decisions, and that's when you make mistakes.
So it's not about chasing profits. It's about honing your craft.
Right. He says you need three things: willingness to put in the time, a strong will, and the ability to work on yourself, discipline, patience, all that. And he warns the market will test you. It will test your patience, your discipline, constantly.
Oh, I bet. So how do you know if you're improving? What are the signs?
He says look for better discipline, more patience, and fewer errors in your analysis and execution. As you get better at those things, he says, the profits will follow naturally.
It's like any skill, right? The more you practice, the better you get.
Exactly. And he even shares a personal story about how he made a good profit on a couple of Dow Jones trades, but then realized he closed them too early because of, like, personal stuff going on. He could have made way more if he'd stayed in longer.
So even when you're making money, there are still lessons to learn.
Always. And he emphasizes how trading goes against our natural instincts sometimes. Like when we lose money, our instinct is to try and win it back immediately, which often leads to more losses. He mentions that he has videos on his YouTube channel about this, about the mental and emotional challenges of trading.
Awesome. Well, as we wrap this up, what are the big takeaways you'd want listeners to remember?
I think the core message is don't buy into the hype. There's no easy path to riches in day trading. It takes dedication, it takes critical thinking, it takes choosing the right mentors, and most importantly, it takes mastering your own psychology.
So focus on the process, learn from your mistakes, and don't let your emotions control your trades. That's the real path to success.
Exactly. It's a journey, not a sprint.
And if you want to dive deeper into these ideas, check out the trader's YouTube channel and his Facebook page, the Daytrader-Mentor. He's got a lot of great resources, and you can always come back and revisit this deep dive if you want a refresher on these key insights.
Absolutely. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. And before we go, here's a final thought. Think about how these principles apply to other areas of your life. Learning from mistakes, self-discipline, understanding how your mind works under pressure. These are valuable skills no matter what you're trying to achieve. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been a blast.
It really has.
All right. Until next time.
See you then.